always with you, as I am always with Amy. I, Escortia, am always with you because I want to be here with you on the earth plane now. I want to see you walk hand in hand with Spirit together to create a new beginning, a new world, to have new hope, so to speak, for this world. And that is why I so support the New Hope Metaphysical Society. The original founder was Bill Tomaszewski, and he founded the New Hope Metaphysical Society in 1990. And it was originally named the New Hope Channeler Support Group. And he decided to form this group because he wanted to have people who were like himself and like ourselves interested in the psychic and the metaphysical realms to come together to have a place where they could feel supported and safe and could share their gifts and abilities. And so he did start this group in New Hope, and we met at the New Hope Public Library for about 8 or 9 years until he finally moved to England. And then a few people took over for a year or so, and then John and I took over. I think it was in 1998 or 99. And then we moved it to Pebble Hill Church, and then we changed the name to the New Hope Metaphysical Society. As we were expanding our interests and more people were coming to the meetings, we had other interests in mind as well that were connected to channeling and to psychic mediumship.
I used to meet with Amy and John when Amy had the Escortia Center in Germantown, and she would do channelings and provide spiritual guidance and meditations, and I think the New Hope Metaphysical Society evolved from a group of people that came together who wanted to share a common interest, and sort of people like, I guess you could say, are on the fringe from traditional society, who wanted some kind of forum to come together and talk and share in some of these alternative kinds of practices, such as meditation, channeling.
So now draw in your breath, counting slowly to 8. And release your breath, counting slowly to 10.
It's very interesting just to see a different point of view, a different way of looking at things, just to see how different people live. You know, it's very interesting.
When I know I'm a tree, when I understand that I'm the microbes in the soil, when I get that I'm the storm that's raging around out there, when I know that I am the ocean, then that significantly alters my actions and my choices in the world.
What we've been doing for this community's been doing, the New Age, the Metaphysical Society has been doing for the past 18, 20 years has really, I think, been very progressive. There are various different kinds of forums that take place. There's a Valley Forge Expo, spiritual expo, that takes place usually in October, and there's a cross-current of many different kinds of spiritual groups that get together that promote these ideas of something beyond the ordinary, something beyond what we see in day-to-day life in terms of our daily interactions, in terms of what we see with our 5 senses. And I think what we recognize is that there's a lot more out there than we realize, and that we can see with our eyes and hear with our ears. There are other connections that we can have with one another that are extrasensory perceptions, and as we tune into these areas and as we practice and go within our own spiritual connections with ourselves, with what we find to be guides, angelic beings, we can really open up our connections to the greater aspect of life. And I am by profession, I'm a psychologist, so I practice in a more traditional world in terms of what I do day to day, and yet this is another aspect of who I am that is a more alternative kind of aspect of my personality, and In some ways, people who are from more the traditional mainstream world might perceive what I'm doing as a little bit woo-woo, but I find it very enriching and rewarding and fulfilling, especially when people are able to connect with the other side, people who have lost loved ones, and through mediums and through people that channel who are psychics. We find that there are it's wonderful, amazing kinds of things that people connect on the other side, from loved ones that passed on to their own guides, angelic beings, and we don't really understand, in terms of traditional mainstream society, all these kinds of connections, but it's uncanny to see what happens when people open up to these to the guidance and the connections.
You, we, all are experiencing the results of the game that's been played out for a millennia by humanity as well as by other beings from other levels, to be separate from God. God is all it is. To be totally in the flow with the ego and with the narrowed perceptions of one who is spiritually adrift. And so we are saying now that you are no longer adrift, though you may still feel it, but you are now coming to the end of this sense of being alone, of being alienated, of being cut off, of being tied off from your spiritual source, from your spiritual family, from your spiritual guidance, from your spiritual support. And so I, Ascordia, am that spiritual support for you and for many others, and to let you know now that we are reconnecting. There is a reconnecting going on amongst all of you, with yourselves, with your aspects, with your soul, if you will, and your spiritual family. That is quite marvelous. That is quite a revelation. That is quite a miracle, if you will.
Group was introducing people's experiences, sometimes with aliens. They had different dreams. They had people who would interpret dreams, and had all kinds of workshops. This was new to the area at that time, and the people appreciated the fact that they could talk to other people about what was going on with them. Sometimes quite mysterious things were happening and they didn't understand it, and the metaphysical group helped them understand what was happening.
A large percentage of people, something happens to them in their life and they can't seem to find an answer or any clues with the conventional mechanisms or groups that they would normally commune with, and they stick their head out and they hear about yoga, or they hear about meditation or healing. And I've seen over and over where people will come and they had a little experience which could be frightening, or there's no explanation with religion or science, but metaphysics offers a perspective, at least a path to start inspecting and exploring. What is this? Why am I like this? Well, maybe you had a past life as someone, or there's a lot of questions. But the interesting thing is, people need to ask rather than just sitting with what they believe or what society or religion or conventionality tells you. We have to keep asking, because that's how we grow. And I see a lot of that with the people that have come over the years.
Yeah, a lot of people will have some kind of seminal experience, like they may have had an appearance of a ghost, or an aunt will come to them in the dream and give them some prophetic information, or they'll just intuit something about somebody and feel impelled to tell them, and it's true. So they think, oh my gosh, what's going on? This is out of the ordinary. This can't be explained by, rational thinking or scientific, quantification. So they seek other areas then to find validation for their experience, or they start to read books or whatever. But
Near-death experience.
or they have a near-death experience, which is very powerful. That'll change you. And so, people who used to come to me for readings often had some kind of experience that made them question or doubt their conventional reality, and so they started to see beyond, the limitations of their world into, the spiritual world, the metaphysical world. So yes, I think this group does draw people like that, who are questioning, who had experiences that can't be explained, who are drawn to this subject maybe naturally anyway. Many people have felt always like the odd man out, the black sheep in the family, the odd duck, and it's because their perspective is maybe not conventional. It may be more broad-based or spiritual. Many of them are what we call old souls. They're beings who live, many, many lifetimes, and so they're beyond the conventional understandings of things, and they don't quite fit in to our very material, practical, limited world in a way that we still, I think, still exist in, but we're expanding.
I've been involved with metaphysics since the 70s, I guess. I did a 40-day training in Europe. So I don't practice wizardness, in my life as an apparent wizard, but I do have that quality, and